again. For my God, it's time for us to protect and defend.
Hi, I'm Father Michael Orsi. I am your host for Action for Life Television, that good news program, the good news with the big G for the gospel of Jesus Christ, and little g, all the good things that people are doing to live out the gospel in their own lives and to make for a better church and for a better society. Now, today, we have a program that is going to be quite different. We've been looking at marriage for the last couple of weeks, talking about marriage. We talked about marriage preparation. We talked about marriage counseling. Today, we have some folks who have gone through rock bottom in their marriages. I mean, this is like rock bottom, folks, where you think that there's no help and no hope. But as I told you many a time, with God, there is always hope, and God wants to give us his help. Now, right here in the front row are Bill and Lynn Folsom. Bill and Lynn.
Hello.
Welcome. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And in the back row, we have Michael and Paola Kovnik.
Hello.
Hello.
Buongiorno, signora.
Buongiorno.
Sono molto lieto.
Buongiorno anche noi.
Paola è italiana.
Sì.
Che dove paese?
A Soriano nel Cimino, vicino a Assisi.
Oh, beautiful. Bella, bella.
Bellissimo,
Sì,
sì.
sì, sì. Okay, for you folks who don't speak Italian, she comes from near Assisi. And she obviously is somebody who brings to us a whole different perspective because you come from Italy.
Yes?
And now you're here in this country,
Yeah.
and you met Michael over here. And
No, I
that's-
met him
over
in
there.
Italy.
over there? You went over there, huh? So when did the trouble start?
Over here.
Oh, wait. Okay, we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that. Okay. These folks are involved in a program. It's called Retrouvaille. That's a funny name. That's a funny name. What does it mean? Who wants to talk about that?
Retrouvaille, the word is from French Canada. It means rediscovery.
Uh-huh.
Retrouvaille is a program that started in 1977 up in Canada, eventually came down to the United States, and it's now worldwide in 160 countries.
Wow. Okay. So this Retrouvaille program was invented for what?
It was invented for married couples who are in trouble or working their way toward trouble, in deep trouble, could even be separated or divorced. But at the bottom of it, they want to get back together. They want to figure out a way to reconcile and to heal. And this program gives them the method and the hope in how to do that.
All right. Let me ask you. This gets like, you don't mind being like personal. It's only amongst us. Okay.
Sure.
Like, how long you married before you said this is like going down the tubes?
7 years.
7 years. Children?
We had two at the time.
2 at the time. And so 7 years, and you're like having a miserable time.
Yes.
All right. And like, what were you miserable about?
Infidelity, alcoholism, lying, cheating, disillusionment, absolute misery.
Holy cow! Like,
Rock bottom.
yeah, that is rock bottom. And I suppose if you'd bring that to a secular person, they would say, "Ain't no hope here." So, all right. So you're at rock bottom. Did you separate?
We were separated for 3 years.
Separate for 3 years.
Off and
separate
on,
times.
7 different times.
Wow, 7 different. Okay. Okay. Well, then what happened? I mean, how did you get involved with Retrouvaille?
We were invited to go to the weekend as a method to long shot,
But who told you about it? I mean, like most people have never even heard of it.
right? It's probably one of the best kept secrets in the world, in the Catholic universe.
It was a priest who told us about it.
Okay, but like you were mad at each other. You're like mad. So, well,
It was
who
worse
met-
than mad.
Worse than mad.
It was indifferent.
Indifference. Yeah, they say the opposite of love is not anger, but it's indifference.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, well, how did you meet this priest? You went him to see him and say, look, I got major issues here, and he said, I got something for you.
They were aware of our problems, and on a Wednesday, he said, have you ever heard about this program? And I said, no. And he said, well, you ought to try it. And that Friday, we were on the weekend.
Wow. And like he was agreeable to the whole thing.
He had come back and said, I'll do anything. And I threw it out as a challenge. Well, if you really want to do anything, then you'll make this weekend with me.
It was a triple dog dare.
Yeah. I mean, you were open to it. I mean, that's amazing in itself that you were open to it. So, I mean, you must have liked her deep down inside.
Well, we still loved her, but we were just not able to connect or communicate. Every time we talked to each other, it just set off a whole argument.
Okay. All right. Now, right behind you, you have another lovely, lovely couple. Okay. And Michael and Paola, what's your story? What happened?
Well, we were married for about 30 years, 29 years.
In Italy
actually.
or here?
We did a lot of back and forth.
Back
So we
and
got
forth.
married in Italy, and we spent years in Italy, years here. And it's actually our business situation. Our business situation is that our business is over in Italy, but our kids were in school here. So there was a lot
Like
of
what kind of business you in?
we own a travel company that does culinary tours and experiential tours in Italy.
Wow.
And
So
so,
culinary, you do like cooking and all that stuff too?
yeah.
Well, we're gonna have to try this out. I mean, okay, yeah.
So I would say at the core of it all for us was workaholism. Workaholism and really living separate lives. You know,
Paola, you the chef? I mean, were you
Yes.
doing all the cooking?
Well, I'm one of the chefs.
I make
but
the grappa.
He makes the grappa. I make
And
the
the wine.
bolognese and the tagliatelle.
Oh, the bolognese. Oh, it's so good. It's so
Yes.
good. Right.
Yes.
Okay, you know, folks, like Assisi is like a province up from Rome, right? Let's say a province?
Yeah, it's the region
Yeah.
of Umbria.
Umbria, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's absolutely, if you haven't been to
It
Italy,
is
there's only one
beautiful.
place in the whole world you should go. You know, go to Italy and then go to Rome and Umbria, and it's beautiful, just absolutely beautiful. And the food is fantastic. All right, so now you're kind of like missing each other, you know, flying back and forth, and, you know,
Yeah.
she's cooking, you're out having a good time someplace.
Well, at one point, I mean, before all of that, 10 years before we had found Retrouvaille, we had attended Marriage Encounter. And Marriage Encounter was wonderful. It just did miracles for us, but it didn't stick. It didn't stick for us. I mean, it wasn't Marriage Encounter's fault. It was our fault. You know, we just kind of thought we had it. And, you know, we got this, and we're going to, you know, we're
Do
going to
our
go
own thing.
forward, and we're going to do our own thing, and everything's going to be awesome. But during our Marriage Encounter weekend, we remembered, or at least I remembered, them mentioning this retro thing for couples that are in serious trouble. And 10 years later, you know, we had basically gone on separate paths again. and
So you were
things had gotten-
separated.
We weren't separated as a couple, but we were spending a lot of time separated because of our work.
Right.
And, you know, we were pursuing our own individual interests, and it got pretty ugly.
Okay.
Very ugly.
Okay, like,
And-
again, like a story like, you know.
I'm going to say that it's a miracle that we didn't split up.
Okay, but
Yeah.
like some of the same problems that that Bill and Lynn talked
Yeah.
about, like infidelity and all that
Right.
stuff, was that there?
All of that was going on.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you had children?
We have 2 children.
Okay.
And one of them was just engaged to be married
Oh, how nice.
when we made our weekend, and one of them was just finishing high school.
Okay, now, how did you said you heard about this program from whom?
Well, we had heard about it through Marriage Encounter 10 years prior.
Okay, so you had kept this in the back of your
It
mind.
had just stuck in the back of my mind, and when we hit our bottom, I remember saying, you know, we need something more. I remember them talking about this thing, so I kind of started doing some research and then stumbled upon it thanks to Google. And the next thing we knew, there was a weekend coming up in Orlando, and we went to it.
Okay,
Yeah.
do they have them in Italy too?
Yes.
Okay.
All over the world.
Hey, folks, you
All
know,
over the world.
if I were you, I'd go online, find out when they're having it in Italy, and then you could have like a second honeymoon besides going through the Retrouvaille.
Yeah, I kind of have to speak Italian.
How do you, well, you know, I mean, it's not like I'm helping your business now. I'm telling you where to do this.
Fair enough.
All right. I do it all on this show. At the end of the show, I have to ask for money, you know.
Yeah.
The producer said that I have to ask for money at the end of the show to keep the show on the air. So do you hear that, Grumpy? I'm asking for money. Folks, send big checks, okay? Like if you have $1 million, nothing to do with it, please send it to keep me on the air. Okay. Maybe I'll say more about it at the end of the show, but well, I'll see how much I got a lot of issues. All right, now, so then you went to Retrouvaille, and then what happened? Like you fell back in love?
Yeah. The weekend. So Retrouvaille is a weekend. Similar to Marriage Encounter, but it goes very, very deep because it's mostly couples that are struggling. But it was what happened after the weekend. After the weekend, there were 6 follow-up sessions. So it was literally a 7-week program. And
Okay,
each
so
one
wait,
of
so
those,
you went for a weekend.
Yeah.
And who ran the weekend? Other couples that, you know?
Other couples. There were other couples that had been through Retrouvaille. So Retrouvaille is purely volunteer run by people that have been through it themselves. So we're presenting couples in Retrouvaille. We volunteer because we want to give back. So we went to this weekend, and there were 3 presenting couples that had been through Retrouvaille themselves, and a presenting priest. And even the priest had been through his own stage of misery. And it was really interesting to hear the priest's perspective of the disillusionment that he had gone through with his service. The weekend ended for us on a huge high. But 1 week later, the following Sunday, we had to show up at a church for 4 hours to sit down and listen to the first follow-up session and participate in that. And the following week, we had to do that. And that went on, actually, in our case, it went on for 7 weeks. And it was what happened during those 7 weeks that took that miracle that we believe we experienced during the weekend, and it helped us form new habits. It helped us truly change at our core.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, Madam Directress is giving me all kinds of signals with it, but like I'm enraptured by what you're saying. I'm enraptured. But I want to know then, like, when we come back, I'm going to ask you about like, what did you dwell on during those 7 weeks? Because like you had like a long history of bad news, and then all of a sudden like good news breaks in, and you go through a whole bunch of steps, and like a lot of things obviously happened in your sharing and then in your relationship. Because like right now you look pretty happy to me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you look all right.
Oh yeah.
So you know, like folks, if you want to be happy too, and like if your marriage is on the old rocks, and you could get in touch with Retrouvaille, go online, right, and then find out where the next session is. And I think there's one in the CZ pretty soon, right?
Well, actually, we have one in Tampa Bay in 2 days.
In 2 days.
Friday, October
and what about
19th.
in Venice? I mean, the real Venice.
Oh, the real Venice.
The real Venice. No, not yet.
I can check.
Oh, you can check. Okay.
You can check on our website because you can see the.
We will go check on the website. We want our viewing audience to pass the good word around, because sometimes you think a situation is hopeless, nothing can help me,
Oh,
and yet you're finding out there is help out there. Because I told you many times, God wants to take care of you. Give him a chance. Give God a break. Okay, we're going to go to the break now, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about the steps you took to make you the happy people that you are today. Okay? Wonderful.
Thank you.
In my life, long as I remember, now they're even missing from December. God's gone missing, Jesus too. Does that even bother you? God's gone missing, Jesus too. Looks like the minority rules, and the Christian world looks mighty weak. No fight at all, just turn the cheek. Time to stand and be much bolder. Time to move onward, Christian soldiers. God's gone missing, Jesus too. What on earth are you going to do? Oh my God!
Marriage is not always smooth sailing. It can be filled with difficult and often unexpected challenges. When a couple runs into trouble, it is hard to know where to turn. Retrouvaille offers a lifeline of hope and help for marriages that are struggling. As difficult as your marriage problems may be, no marriage is beyond hope. It is never too late to try again. The Retrouvaille program is a Christian marriage program that helps husbands and wives put their marriage back together and rebuild their relationships. Retrouvaille is a 3-phase program. First, a weekend experience where presentations are made by 3 married couples and a priest or minister team. They share their struggles, hurts, and misery, and how they have been able to work through their problems. The primary focus is learning a new and better way to communicate. The second phase is a series of post-weekend presentations, which are 2-hour talks given by additional couples over the next few weeks. The third phase is a monthly small support group meeting called CORE to keep your marriage on track. Retrouvaille is a nonprofit ministry and program costs are affordable. No one is ever denied the chance to heal their marriage, and financial assistance may be available. For more information, visit our website at helpourmarriage.com.
And we're back. We're back with Bill and Lynn and Michael and Paula, and we're talking about, Retrouvaille, and it's taking a second look at your marriage and putting it back together again, even when you think there's no hope. Look, if God can work out the resurrection, He could fix your marriage. All right?
Exactly.
All right, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Now, you go on the weekend. So you go on the weekend 3 days, and you're like on a spiritual high, all right? And you like each other again, okay? But then the real work comes in, all right? So, Paula, you want to talk about what happened? And after the weekend was over, then what happened?
Well, like Michael was saying, we have these post sessions. There are 4 hours every Sunday, and we go through forgiveness, trust, family of origin, how we deal with stress, with children, with outside influences, but also how everything relates to the Bible, how the Bible teaches us about trust and forgiveness. It's a very spiritual talk. It's amazing. And it was because of the post sessions that I can really say that we healed.
Okay, I want to ask you something. We talk about family of origin, okay? You from Italy.
Yeah.
And you're from Brooklyn?
LA.
Los
LA, well, that's even worse.
Like totally.
All right, so that's like a different world.
That was a huge problem for
Okay,
us.
what was the biggest problem there?
Well, I came from a small town, 8,000 people, 8 years of Catholic school. My uncle was a priest. And he came from LA. Do I have to say any more? So it was very different the way I wanted to raise children, the way I believed a husband should be, a wife should be, and that brought a lot of conflict in our marriage.
Yeah, what's interesting about that, we have many couples who come from different families of origin these days. And I don't think a lot of that is thought about or negotiated before they get married. And so I think that, in our marriage preparation programs, it's important that, we address those issues. And like you made out better than you ever expected. I mean, you
Totally.
You get a girl from Italy, come on.
Oh, yeah.
Now you see things her way, don't you?
Yes, finally.
That's great. Okay, so what about
I'd say
you?
we both figured it
You
out.
both figured it out. Okay, what about you? Like, what was the high point? You come off the high, and then you're going into the 7 weeks of hard work. What happened with you?
Well, it was a process of learning about myself and how I was interacting with him and the negative things that I was bringing to the communication between us. And I had no real person to show me. I'm from a family of divorce. And
So you had no role models.
No
Yeah,
role model
we were
at
talking about
all.
that in one of our earlier shows about mentoring, and we need those role models.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I was just doing what I knew, which was not working. And I didn't have any other way to do it. So it was the post sessions where I slowly learned steps in how to listen, how to learn to decide to commit, to decide to love, to decide to trust and forgive.
Yeah, you have to make that commitment. You just can't say it's going to happen. No,
Right.
it's like it's like when you go on a diet. I mean, you got to say I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to do this thing, and sometimes we stick to it, and sometimes we fall off the wagon. But that doesn't mean we stop.
Right.
You keep trying.
I think conflict management, I thought, was going to be the point where I would learn how to deal with conflicts. But to tell you the truth, it was the sacrament talk that made the difference for me. When it hit me between the eyes that I was the sacrament.
Yeah.
Bill and I were the sacrament together, and we were a visible sign of God's love and healing in the world.
Yes.
That to me was like,
Ooh.
wow, that's important.
You become an icon. You're a living icon.
I had to, it gave me the incentive to really work at my marriage in a different way.
Yeah, and when we mess up in marriage, it's like mudding up an icon, this beautiful thing, and like we're messing the whole thing up. Right. Now, so Bill, then how did you respond to the newly discovered Lynn?
It was wonderful, but what I was actually discovering was the newly discovered Bill. I grew up in a family of alcoholics, fighting, police arguments, violence, and I thought that was a normal upbringing. That's all I knew. And I brought that into my marriage. And so I was the know-it-all and dictator of the family. And I had to learn very quickly that I was really stupid in a lot of things.
Like, what were you stupid about?
I could tell you.
We have a fight now on the stage.
Love, communication, compromise, negotiation. It was always, to me, normal was, it's my way or the highway, do what I say, but I can do whatever I want. And I had to really understand and appreciate and accept the fact that my marriage was a negotiation, it was a compromise, it was a shared responsibility. And that I had to keep reminding myself, what am I willing to do for the sake of my relationship, not just for myself.
Okay.
It was humbling.
Yeah, we don't like to be humble, do we?
No.
No, we don't like that at all. A friend of mine told me, he said, the only prayer he ever gets answered right away is one for humility. You know, but Mike, what about you? What was the moment for you, like in those 7 weeks, like what hit you?
Wow. For me, I think the watershed moment for me was when I really understood what a covenant was, that it wasn't a contract. That it was a no matter what deal.
Yeah, you understand. Let me just say one word about that. Yeah. You know, a lot of folks, they think that they went for a marriage license in UPS or something like that, and that's a contract. And that they could just rip up a contract. Right. That's why you have all this, no-fault divorce. Hey, you know, there's no such thing as no-fault divorce. It's both your faults.
Yep.
All right, continue.
Well,
said what I had to say.
I mean, that's really it. It's the fact that is a covenant, and that is a no matter what deal. And understanding that we both contributed to all of our problems. Whatever the major problems were really just symptoms of all the small stuff that led up to it. But the single biggest watershed moment for me was really understanding the Bible, understanding what the concept was of putting God first and then myself second and my wife third.
Yeah.
I mean, my wife third and myself second.
Get that straight, Mike.
No, but that I'm third, third. And if you look at the Bible as an instruction manual for life and marriage, it's crystal clear.
Yeah.
It's pretty crystal clear. And if you live by it, you know, you're going to get through most everything.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, one of the gospel reading from Mark was about, Jesus saying, no divorce. He said very clearly, no divorce. You divorce your wife and marry somebody else, you're committing adultery. He went, Jesus didn't like mince any words. That wasn't like always very popular.
He was clear.
He was very clear, So I said to the people, I did the reading, and usually like I give really, a big, long, great sermon. Right? Big, long, and great.
I love long sermons. Don't look at me. I hate the 5-minute homilies.
Well, anyway,
I like the long ones.
I didn't even give him 5 minutes. I gave him like a half a minute, and I said, "This gospel speaks for itself." As we said in law school, "Res ipse loquitur." The thing speaks for itself. And I walked out, and like everybody's like that. I say, "Father, really, that was the best sermon you ever gave." I'm even getting emails because it like stuck in people's heads. You just can't monkey around with the words of Jesus, or else you're going to ruin your soul. Yeah. You're going to ruin your life, and you're going to ruin your kids too, because marriage has an effect on the kids. And people are always thinking about themselves. I'm not happy. Who cares if you're not happy? You got kids that you got to raise, and that's why you overcome those problems for the sake of each other's souls, yeah, really, and for the sake of the children. But people say, oh, you know, yeah, I watch these shows sometimes. So-and-so's a single mom with 10 kids. Yay! Well, it's tough. You need a mother and a father that's together raise a good family. It's unfortunate sometimes something happens you have no control over. You know, somebody dies or there's violence. I don't know, some of that stuff. But hey, you got to stick it out. This is what this program is all about. You know, there's hope. We talked about that so many times. The gospel. It's all about hope. It's like not God doesn't just say, okay, get married and now you're on your own. Goodbye, you know. No. He's sticking with you, but you got to be able to reach out to him. How much praying do you folks do now?
Every day.
Every day.
Every
Like, what do
day.
you do? Tell the folks what you do every day. Like, you know, you read the Bible, you say your prayers. What do you do?
Well, we work from home, so we're lucky for that. And I read the one-year Bible, and we pray about the Retrouvaille couples that are attending the weekend.
So you're praying for other couples, too.
Right, we
huh?
follow them forever. We will never let them
Yeah.
go.
Wow, can you imagine that people praying for you forever?
We do.
Yeah,
we
that-
do.
that-
Because Retrouvaille not only saved our marriage, saved our son.
Saved your son. That's
Yes.
great. Wow. Wow. And what about you? What's your prayer life like? And Mass on Sundays?
Oh, yes,
That's
oh,
good.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We, I always blessed my children before they went to bed and before they left the house. And when they grew up and left, I realized that we were not doing it for each other. So every day we bless each other and ask, what do you need today?
Wow. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that beautiful? Okay. How much time do I have left? I could be on this show. I got a minute left. All right. All right. Could you tell the folks about how they get in touch with you, how they get involved with the program? And I think it'll make a real impact in some lives that they think there's no hope, and yet here we are.
Well, since our name is so incredibly difficult to pronounce or spell, our website is www.helpourmarriage.org or .com. Either one works. And when you go to that website, we have all sorts of
Helpourmarriage.org.
Yep.
Helpourmarriage.org. That's an easy one.
Yep.
Okay. Now, Madam Directress is giving me the signal over here. Now, I promised Grumpy John, our producer, that I would ask you for money. You know, you can't do a show like this without money. You got to pay for the studio. You got to pay the salaries of the staff here. And believe me, I get nothing out of this, you know, except that grace. I hope sanctifying grace. What do I get out of this? As I'm doing God's work. So please, Action for Life, send us some money. We need the money.
We trust that this week's Action for Life program has challenged and encouraged you in honoring, respecting, preserving, and protecting human life. If you'd like to support this ministry or just get more information, we invite you to visit our website at www.actionforlife.net.
Time to move on, we're Christian soldiers. God's gone missing, Jesus too.